Welcome to Chatting with Chuck. I'm your host, Chuck. Today I'm talking to Sato Borsillo. We're going to talk about the automobile market, so I'm going to jump right into this. Hey, Sato, just tell me, what's your thoughts on the current state of the automobile market?
Well, from my understanding, I've been with Advantech for a year or so now, and it seems to be going well. All my customers are doing much better than they did last year. I'm seeing a lot of interest in IIoT and Industry 4.0. They're all trying to optimize their processes as well as possible, so that requires some new technologies, and they're investing money and trying to pretty much make themselves as efficient as they possibly can. I see a lot of focus on autonomous driving. So again, there's a lot of research and development being put in there, a lot of man hours. But all in all, for this year at least, it's been going well. I'm not sure what next year will have to hold, but things are good.
So, how do you see the industrial automation in the automobile market?
The automotive industry has always been pretty much at the forefront of automation. Unfortunately, they have to be. How many parts they produce a day, the amount of cost for any sort of downtime is immense. So they have to figure out a way to optimize their process as much as possible. And the surefire way, so to speak, or at least the less problematic way, is with automation. They can rely on a machine doing the same process over and over again within a set amount of time. So it's definitely picking up. A big thing that I see now is with IIoT coming out, they're focused on big data. So previously, it wasn't, most companies didn't automatically keep track of, let's say, machine uptime, downtime, or machine utilization. Some of them did use paper and pencil or some methods that required operator input, but there's a big push now for doing all of that automatically, as well as being able to see your entire manufacturing process from a larger scope. So a lot of these manufacturers are now integrating multiple sites and just taking a bird's eye view and then diving deeper so that they can see what their facilities are doing. So there's a big push in big data and analyzing it, and again, trying to make themselves as efficient as possible.
What do you see, like any other kind of trends in the automation industry?
Yeah, strangely enough, before I came into this role, I always assumed that automation was a negative thing to replace people. But again, this is counterintuitive. But I've been to a few trade shows, I've talked to a few people, and the reason people are actually automating is because they can't find the workforce to fill certain roles. So as people are becoming more educated, as they're doing more complex tasks, the repetitive roles are not something that people want to do anymore. So companies can't find the workforce to fill these roles. So they're turning to automation. So that is a trend I'm heavily seeing happening right now.
Well, do you have any concerns?
I personally don't have any concerns, but the concerns I see from customers is pretty much how to implement IIoT. IIoT is a broad term. It really doesn't have a solid definition. It's pretty much just a matter of connecting your process, but that could be in 100 different ways. So the biggest thing I see from customers is just figuring out how to do it, how to implement IIoT. And another concern I see as well from them is the cost of it. Because there's a lot of these machines, they last quite a long time. So you've got very old machines that might not be as smart, so to say, as newer machines. And people don't want to invest a lot of money into retrofitting these old machines so that they can hook them up. Granted, Advantech has unique methods of doing that, so you don't have to retrofit everything, but a lot of companies don't know that. So they're concerned that if I want to implement IIoT, I've got to retrofit all of my older machines to new modern controllers, and that's not always the case. So those are the two main concerns I see.
So, Sato, if I'm an engineer and I'm going into the automobile market looking at automation, then what's just some things I probably should consider?
If you're going to implement IoT and automation and you're new to this, one thing I would first consider is, what do you want to collect? With the current technology out there, you can pretty much grab any sort of data you want. But if you grab too much, you're just going to be, it's just going to overwhelm you. So what I would do is make sure you know what you want to be looking for. That's the main thing. Just know what data you need, or know what type of data you want to be collecting. That'll make your life much easier. you can pinpoint on what kind of technology or what kind of hardware then you want to invest in, and the same with software. That'll give you that result and a quicker return on investment. Because if you collect all the data and you don't see anything right away, you're going to feel that you wasted your money and your time. But unfortunately, it could have been you weren't looking at the proper data. Another thing I would consider is what kind of resources do you currently have and what kind of resources might you need. So if you're very self-sufficient, if a lot of your employees and engineers are very intelligent and are familiar with IIoT, and you just have the manpower and time, you may not need anything else. You may just need additional hardware and software, and they'll take care of the rest. If you're new to IIoT and you may not have the time or the resources, you may want to consider working with an integrator. So these guys will help you out. You tell them what you want, they will help implement the solution for you. So that's just something to consider. If you want to go the IIoT route, figure out what additional resources outside the hardware and software you might need. And the last thing I would suggest is just a tip: start small. If you currently know of a bottleneck in your facility, I would recommend starting there, because you'll gather some data that hopefully will glean some information, and you'll understand why you have that bottleneck there. If you don't know of a bottleneck, try starting somewhere inexpensive. Try monitoring 1 or 2 machines to see what kind of value IIoT brings to you. This way, if you start at a bottleneck or just start at 1 or 2 machines, you won't be investing a lot of money. And again, you'll see a quicker return on your investment, so that you can then tell, is this a direction I want to go, or is this just not something I currently need?
Great. Sato, I do appreciate you taking the time to give us a little snapshot into automation in the automobile market. I hope this was helpful for everyone. This has been Chuck with Chatting with Chuck. Stay tuned for further episodes.